Dancing takes me to a happy place as well. Good Thursday to you all. Welcome into First Take. Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Molly Karam here with you. Gentlemen, good morning.
Last second preparations.
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
How are you?
Both of you.
Good.
So that means good morning. It's going to be intense today. That's what you're telling me?
Yep.
All right. Let's get right into it then. Cam is leading his squad to an undefeated season, but that's not the only thing that makes him happy. Dancing does. Stephen A., what is your reaction to Cam's comments?
Well, I have no problem with his electing to enjoy himself. I think that we have to understand something. Everybody has their own individual source of motivation. Obviously, when you think about Cam Newton and what he has been able to do this year, they've got the number 3 ranked offense in the entire NFL. Their passing attack is 28th in the NFL, but they've got the 3rd rushing attack in the NFL, the 3rd overall offense right now in the NFL. They're undefeated, one of only 2 undefeated teams in the NFL, the only undefeated team in the NFC. Right now, if the playoffs were to begin, the road to the Super Bowl through the NFC must come through Charlotte, North Carolina. So when you look at it from that perspective, you're having a ball. You also have to take into account the fact that he has to pay attention to what works for him. Okay? Certain people, you know, just being quiet, demure, laid back, whatever words you want to use to describe their personality does not work for them, you know? I mean, to me, you know, I think often about Skip and I, you know, when Skip and I have 2 completely different approach to everything. You know, I'm more extemporaneous than he is, in my opinion. Skip is thorough. He knows everything. And even though he knows everything, he still has to look it up 2, 3, 4, 5 times because even though he knows everything, he still has to look it up to make sure of it. Well, you call it preparation, but there's no way we could sit here doing what we do if your brother wasn't prepared.
That is true.
The fact of the matter is that we have different ways of going about doing what we do. If you told me that I had to do this job every day emulating what Skip does, I would quit on the spot because that does.
You would fail.
I would fail. I would fail because it's not my way. You know, everybody's got to be themselves. And I say all of that to say that when you look at Cam Newton and what he brings to the table, Skip, again, what I love about Cam is that it says the 28th ranked passing offense. It looks so deceptive because even though they got the 3rd ranked offense, how could that be with their passing attack so putrid or whatever? Cam Newton shows up when it's time. The bigger the moment gets, the more he shines. Suddenly at crunch time, the passes are more accurate. The running plays are more spectacular. He finds a way to get the job done. And if celebrating is a component to all of that, a source of whether it be motivation or a reason to exhale or whatever the case may be, I have no problem with it. I think that a lot of people who are making noise about it are making noise because they don't like the fact that he is the guy that is doing this. Why they feel that way is open to speculation.
Well, we need to speculate on that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we will.
But I do believe that you have a lot of people that have a problem with him. Do I think, listen, I can only go by what I could tell. I have a radio show every day where I'm communicating with folks. I'm here on national television. There's social media to take into consideration. There's me being at arenas, walking the streets. I can only go by my experience. I can tell you, far be it for me to offend anybody. I have not run into a brother that has a problem with Cam Newton. It's usually somebody else that has a problem with Cam Newton. It's not black people. We look at him and we say, we don't know what y'all are talking about. What is the problem? We really don't see it. Now, I can't speak for all black folk, but most black folk I know who love football, obviously, have absolutely no problem whatsoever with Cam Newton. But the people who are complaining, they might be a bit different. And by the way, there's a lot of white folks out there that don't have a problem with Cam Newton, of a younger generation, older generation who happen to be of a different ethnicity. They might have a problem with it, and that's their right. And that's their right. But it is what it is.
Those are all very valid points and insightful points, and I appreciate you saying all that you just said. Now, I'm going to come from my perspective. I have to remind you, I'm a Cam fan. I was completely on board with Carolina taking him #1 overall in that draft. He has struggled He has broken through this year, breakout year, fabulous year. Not the greatest QBR, but when it's time to make a play, Cam Newton has made a play at Seattle. Consistently made the play to win the game because they've won all their games.
Yeah.
So when we first discussed this on Monday, you suggested between the lines that I just didn't get it because I'm not black. Like, I'm coming from a different cultural perspective, and so I'm just not going to see it, feel it, understand it the way you do. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Is that, okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
And, you know, that may be the case.
But that's not a negative.
Okay, I get it. Right. But I am speaking strictly and obviously as a white guy right now.
Yep.
This is the way I viewed this. Upon first thought, when I first saw it happen, for me, it's not a white thing. It's not a black thing. It's a quarterback thing. Now, I'm coming from my old school, long time covering the NFL perspective.
Got it.
But this is a leader of the franchise thing. This is a breakout potential superstar quarterback thing that I'm talking about here. I've said many times on this show, I don't have any problem with the Superman. It's quick and it's very effective because it drives home the point to the opposition. You just Superman them. You just dived right over the line of scrimmage, and they could not stop you oftentimes when he scores from the 2-yard line by extending over the goal line.
Right.
And the only times we both have criticized him is when you did it when you were down 30 to somebody and you got a losing record. You know, we're going back a couple of years ago. Okay? But usually I'm fine with that. To me, this came across as an extended, choreographed look at me. And I don't love it for the quarterback. I'm good with the receiver doing it. I'm good with the running back doing it. This is the leader of the franchise. I don't care what color he is. If the white guy did it, I'd be the first to stand up and say, what are you doing? Because this was all about Cam Newton. All of his quotes defending himself were I, me kind of quotes. It took me to a happy place. So he was not able to share the celebration with any teammates. And if you see, they're all coming behind him to high five, hug, you know, face bump, whatever they're going to do. And he's leaving them all hanging because it's just going on and on and on because he had thought through this, and he's going to do a dance that's popular in Atlanta now. And a lot of people are going to love this. And I do not doubt the entertainment value of this for people of all colors because it's very entertaining because he's good at it. He was great at the dance. But it goes on and on and on, and he left his teammates hanging. So my point is, football is a team game. How many times have I told you this? It is the ultimate unity game, far more than baseball or basketball or hockey or any other sport you want to talk about, soccer. Football is all about unity. The key to a championship run is the unity of a football team, and it starts with the quarterback. So in this case, when you go on and on and on and exclude your teammates with an I, me celebration as the quarterback, you're starting. Let me finish. Just let me finish, okay? If you want to talk, I'll stop.
No,
okay?
Skip, I was just trying to tell you, just in case, you know, I was just letting you know that I was going to.
Okay, I know you're going to go, but remember, you are threatening your team unity when because this is not done by any quarterback of any color. This is not done. We haven't seen this before. This kind of a lengthy, post-touchdown celebration. Maybe he is shattering the mold. Maybe I'll sit back at one point and say that brought his team together because they fed off this. They loved it. Maybe that's the case. That has not been the case before in this league. So I'm going to bank on history here and say I think you're threatening your team unity. And we have talked about Cam on the sidelines with the towel over his head where he makes it a me and they kind of a thing. When things are going wrong, he doesn't want to be part of the group. Now things are going right, and apparently in this case it comes across to me as a white guy as you don't want to be part of that group for that moment. Go ahead.
I don't think you should compare yourself to the typical white guy in the eyes of black folks in terms of how you think. When you sit up there and you say what you say, me knowing Skip Bayless the way that I do, I know you feel that way. But if I did not know you, and I had to lean on things from an historical perspective as a black man.
Yep, I got it.
I would not absorb it and embrace it the way that you just broke it down. Here is how I would look at it. I am Cam Newton. I am a star in this league. By the way, like you said, Georgia is popular in Atlanta. Where did Cam Newton go to high school? Westlake High School in Atlanta, Georgia.
I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
Same high school as Pac-Man Jones. All right. So you take that into consideration. He started Auburn, obviously, but ultimately, what this comes down to is that it's a dance. It's popular. He knows how to do it quite well, obviously, and he's celebrating it. So what happens is that when you see people standing up in an uproar about it, you can't convince. I'm not talking about you as in Skip Bayless. I'm talking about somebody who happens to not be black. You can't convince black folk that you're complaining about Cam Newton because that particular celebration and it took too long and his teammates were looking to celebrate with him and he left them hanging because he was too busy celebrating. I promise you most of them enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed watching it. I thought he did it pretty damn good, to be quite honest with you.
I hear you.
But here's where it speaks to a bigger issue, and for the sake of our audience, I had no clue we were going to go here, but I'll take it there.
All right.
Here's the deal. This complaint about Cam Newton, the game was on Sunday. It is Thursday.
But we're reacting to his reaction.
Now, I know that, but I'm saying there are still people who are complaining about it, which is why he spoke on it, because there are still people, that's all I mean by that. There's still people who are complaining about it. To Cam Newton and to a vast majority of African Americans out here in this country, what we're seeing is, wait a minute. You want to tell him what to do. You want to tell him how to do it. You know, he's out there. He's balling. Now you want to tell him how he should celebrate, what you deem acceptable. Black folks tired of that. Black folks got their own style, their own flavor, their own flair. They do what they do. If maybe, just maybe, other quarterbacks didn't do what Cam Newton does because Cam Newton is the only one that could do it.
Okay.
It's just like when we might not have liked the fact that Terrell Owens, imitated Ray Lewis when he scored a touchdown against the Baltimore Ravens years ago in the end zone or whatever. But ain't nobody going to deny that was a memorable moment, and he did it pretty damn good. What I'm saying to you is that people who can do stuff usually pull off something that, when they're pulling off something that people can't do, sometimes you have folks that have a problem with it because in our eyes, you're trying to dictate everything to us yet again. Cam Newton has graduated in the NFL. He has elevated himself to elite status. He doesn't get in trouble with the law. He ain't breaking no laws. He ain't getting in trouble off the field. He's not a distraction to his teammates inside the locker room. They're winning football games, and yet still people are out here trying to find something to complain with him about because, you don't like the manner in which he celebrated. He's not going to sit up there and take a personal affront to it, visually the way some others do. But as we sit back, meaning black folks, watching what he has endured this week, it's really much ado about nothing other than envy and jealousy, because at the end of the day, the brother's winning, he's producing, he's not a distraction, he's not breaking any laws, he's not doing anything wrong. He is simply balling, and people from other communities who are complaining about him, all they're doing is sending a message to the black community, reminding us that there is a place, a particular box that you want us to stay in and act accordingly, that you want us to march to your tune. Cam Newton has earned the right to debunk all of that. And I got no problems with it whatsoever. If the Tennessee Titans had a problem with it, they should have kept him out of the end zone. The Washington Redskins, he might do it again this week something else. What the Redskins, what you going to do about it? This ain't New Orleans you're going up against. These are the Carolina Panthers. They actually have a defense, okay? And a coordinator that actually kept his job. What you going to do about Cam? Do something about it or be quiet.
Okay. By the way, for the record, I did hear Brian Dawkins, our analyst on this network, have some problem with the length of the celebration. He thought it was just a little much. Okay,
Fair enough.
Just for the record. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. And then on a lighter note, a much lighter note.
Okay.
Jared Allen, Cam's teammate, did defend Cam by saying, this isn't Footloose, you are allowed to dance. Do you know Footloose? Is it before your time?
Yes.
Do you know Footloose?
Yes.
Okay, you got the 1984 and you got the 2011, and the theme is the parents are forbidding the kids to dance, and the kids are going to dance anyway, and they're white kids.
That's right.
And they can really, listen, it's shocking, but there are a few white kids who can actually dance.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Right, right.
I don't know how, they're just freaks, I guess, but they can dance.
Listen, man, I grew up, one of my all-time favorite movies was Saturday Night Fever. You understand? I mean, I still love John. You could talk about John Travolta with Pulp Fiction and Swordfish and all of these other movies. I remember John Travolta and Danny Terrio from the 1970s. Both white, both could dance their butt off. So it ain't about stereotype. It's just a generational thing. You have some people, of course, there's going to be exceptions to every rule, but most of the people who are complaining about Cam Newton today, based on his celebration, I can assure you most of them ain't black folk. That I can tell you.
All right.
I have no issue with it. Cam, do you? Speaking of